Agenda changes.
Yes, we have one agenda change, J, added to the board, item to board action, approval to amend the 2020-21 school calendar.
Okay, thank you. I did not receive any comments. Did you receive any comments, Patty?
No.
By email. Okay, so we're going to move on to any communications.
None that I know
All righty, board and staff reports, so reopening updates and parent square presentation.
Great. Thank you again for joining us this afternoon. I'm Heidi Labar, Superintendent of the Watertown City School District, and joining me once again for reopening information are both Assistant Superintendents, Stacy Eager-Converse and Ms. Tina Lane. I'd like to start off by coming back to this theme of we are all in this together. And when I say we are all in this together, it takes a village. Education is everyone's business. We have been working very long and hard, and all of our plans have been very intentional and well thought out, but they take into consideration of all of our students. And it's going to take all of us working together to make our reopening plan a success for all of our students. We took a look at some of the questions that you've posted on the Q&A on the district's website, www.watertowncsd.org. And we had some questions that have come up in the past week that we'd like to address this afternoon. Some people are wondering about our school days, what the start and finish times will look like. And for our students that are meeting in person, start and end times will operate as normal. And the specific information coming from buildings will be shared with you during your building level meetings coming up in the next week. We've also had a lot of questions about school supplies. And when will we receive that letter that tells us schedules and our teacher assignments? All letters in the district will be mailed on August 28th. And that's pretty much in line with what we do every year. Letters are usually sent out the last week in August with that information, and we'll continue to do that as well as provide you with a list of school supplies. We've also had a lot of questions on childcare, and we've been working with the Watertown Family YMCA, and the YMCA, like they came to our rescue when we had our emergency closure back in March, they are also coming to our rescue once again in our community. And so if you go to the website, watertownymca.org, you can find more information on their child care program. But what I can share with you this afternoon is that the Y is taking an approach of setting up daycare for children, child care during the day, and looking at it as a learning center. So it will take place at SUNY Jefferson. It will be in the large wing of the Dulles building. And really, it's to help families in not only the Watertown City School District, but some of our surrounding school districts as well. Students in South Jefferson and General Brown, and some of the other outlying areas would be included to be able to attend there as well. There will also be another child care center at the Carthage School District. So it's truly been a community effort in working with not only the school districts and the college and the Y, also the Northern New York Community Foundation and United Way have also been supporting the Y throughout this process. It's again, when I say we are all in this together and education is everyone's business, this is the perfect example of what our community has done to support our families with childcare. The Y is also looking at a couple of options for students to attend. So they're looking at students who are on the hybrid model and attending school on the Monday, Thursday in our case, or Tuesday, Friday, and having a 2-day model, or offering a 3-day model for those children that need childcare for 3 days a week. But if your child is a 5-day remote only student at this time, then they ask that you consider other options. They are also having student teachers from SUNY Potsdam be part of their program to help facilitate some of the learning that needs to take place on the remote learning days. And if you're wondering about our school-age childcare SAC program, that will take place in the Watertown City School District before and after school as it has in the past. If you are interested in childcare, I highly recommend that you visit the WISE website and sign up, and the paperwork that's on there, it was supposed to be updated this afternoon. But even so, when you get on the website and you look for the childcare information, Denise Young, the CEO of the Y, has asked that you get your kids' names in the queue if you're interested in that at all. Get your information in. And I'll turn it over to Ms. Stacey Converse to talk about a few of the other questions that have come up over the past week.
So we are still working very diligently to prepare for instruction for the year, but there have been a couple of specific questions that we wanted to be sure that we addressed. One of those is whether students will be participating in BOCES instruction this year. Jefferson Lewis BOCES was also required to submit a reopening plan that is posted on their website, www.boces.com. And they will be having all students who have signed up to participate in BOCES do so, regardless of what they attend for Watertown, whether it's a fully remote or a hybrid schedule. More information will be forthcoming on that, especially as we finalize student schedules at the high school level. But BOCES plans at this point to offer instruction to students 5 days a week to meet their programming needs, and that will take place in person. However, for students who are interested in participating remotely, they are working to plan an option to be available for that as well. For students who are at Watertown City School District, regardless of whether they are attending remotely or on a hybrid-based schedule, you'll remember that in March, when we had the emergency closure occur, we came up with a construct for grading that revolved around pass-fail for students in grades 5 through 12, and we did effort-based grading on our standards-based report cards for students in grades K through 4. However, given that we are now returning to a semi-sense of normalcy with our school approach, we are planning on having all students be graded as they would be in regular circumstances. So K4 students will receive standards-based grades as outlined on their report card. There are 3 components for that. There is the effort grade, but there are also skill-based performance grades, and there are learner behavior assessments. For students who are in grades 5 through 12, we will use the numerical system from 0 to 100 as we have always used traditionally. Our teachers are, as they're working on planning their instruction, they are also coming up with creative ways to assess students so that assessments will be given equitably to all students, regardless of whether they take them remotely at home or in person in the district. This is a great opportunity for us to start looking at our strategic plan for the goal that really addresses making sure that assessments look at all opportunities of learning and modes of learning as opposed to just your standard tests and quizzes. So more information to come on that as your students move through schedules and the first couple of weeks of school. A lot of questions have come up about pre-kindergarten programming for our district. We have both 3-year-old and 4-year-old programs. And we just received notification last week that funding for pre-kindergarten programmings would be intact for this year, perhaps with a slight reduction, but that means that we can move forward with our pre-kindergarten programming as planned. So you will be receiving more information from our PreK coordinator if you are a parent who has a child who may be enrolled in one of those programs. And we're very glad to hear that that program is going to stay in place. I'll now turn it over to Ms. Tina Lane, Assistant Superintendent for Personnel and Student Services.
Thank you. So as we've talked about through our last series of meetings, we've talked a lot about Parent Square. And as we all know, communication is the glue that holds our school community together, especially during this time. So there's a short video on this slide that will encapsulate what Parent Square will do for our district. We're very excited about the rollout of this app. It's very convenient, and we hope to have this rolled out by the beginning of next week.
Congratulations! If you are watching this video, it means that your school is using ParentSquare. You may be asking yourself, what is ParentSquare? ParentSquare is a safe, secure, and modern approach to communication and collaboration between school and home. It is a central hub for all district, school, grade level, class, and group notifications about your children. Better still, school communication comes right to your fingertips in a way that is convenient to you, whether it be email, text, or app notification. You will also receive text or voice calls for urgent alerts and reminders. You should have received an invitation from ParentSquare via email or text asking you to activate your account. You can also request another activation invitation with the email or phone number that you provided to your child's school at parentsquare.com or on the app. If you don't remember the information on file at your child's school, please fill out your Join Your School form to send a request to your child's school to add you to ParentSquare today. ParentSquare also has easy-to-use apps for iOS and Android phones that can be downloaded from the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. Once logged in, you'll see your custom ParentSquare feed. This page shows all information related to your children, including any school-wide, grade level, class, or group-specific information. No more need to search through emails, schools, or multiple websites to find important information. Prefer text messages over email? No problem. From your account page, you can update your notification preferences, so information is coming how and when you'd like it. Language settings can also be changed, so information is coming in your preferred language. ParentSquare is great at increasing collaboration and helps you get involved in your school communities. You will automatically receive information from the school office and your kids' classes, and any groups you or your kids belong to. You may also join a public group within the school. You can participate with just a click of a button. ParentSquare allows you to fill out a form quickly. No more handouts and permission slips lost at the bottom of backpacks. You can sign up to bring in an item or RSVP for an event. You can also comment on and appreciate a post. Please give these generously to show your school community support. Using ParentSquare, you can also chat directly with a teacher or staff member using our Messages feature. This keeps all communication in one place without the need of additional directories or email addresses. We also have a personalized calendar to keep you up to date with school events, and our photo library stores all photos that have been shared over the course of the year. Thank you for joining ParentSquare. Register your account, download the app, and start interacting with your school community today.
So as the video mentioned, one of the functionalities of ParentSquare is filling out forms to make it easier for parents. And one of the mandates handed down by the New York State Education Department and the New York State Health Department is the fact that we have to pre-screen our students before they come to school. So parents will have the opportunity to do this. And people have asked questions regarding what questions will I be asked every day of the district. And so in the last 24 hours, have you experienced any of the following symptoms? And this will show up right up on the app. Fever above 100 degrees, cough, shortness of breath, fatigue, muscle or body aches, headache, new loss of taste or smell, sore throat, congestion or runny nose, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. Second question, have you tested positive for COVID-19 during the past 14 days? And the third question, have you been in contact in the last 14 with anyone who has a confirmed case of COVID or suspected case? And have you recently traveled to internationally or from a state with spread community transmission of COVID-19 for the New York State Travel Advisory? So parents are able to log on at home, on their phone, on their computer, and screen their child. If that doesn't happen at home, certainly we'll do it here, but we'll get notification of those students who haven't been screened at home, and then our RNs will screen students accordingly here. So this is a nice feature of ParentSquare, and this also gives you information regarding what questions will I be asked every morning. Now I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Lamar, who's going to talk a little bit about what's coming up in the day.
Sure. So ParentSquare information will be forthcoming for staff and for the community within the next week, and get everybody up and running on that, because we'll be using the COVID-19 pre-screening for our staff as well. And again, that information is forthcoming, so don't panic if you haven't seen an email or a text yet. Just know that it's coming soon. So the last thing that we want to share, and this is a work of art. This is just incredible. It's a video that a lot of our 9 of our students and some staff members came in over the course of the past couple of weeks And if you recall, both Watertown Daily Times and the local stations TV7, WWNY TV7, and Spectrum ran a little segment about what life would look like when students return to school in September. And so that was kind of a teaser, if you will, to what we've put together in our own district to share with our community and our board of welcoming back our students, and things are going to be different. What will they look like? And without saying much more, I'd like you to enjoy the video.
We are very excited to welcome our students back to Watertown City School District for the 2020-2021 school year. Whether attending one of our school buildings or engaging in learning activities in a fully remote manner, we look forward to seeing all of the great things our students will achieve in the coming year. Much work has been done by the Watertown City School District staff to ensure the safety and well-being of our school community. This will always be our top priority. We have some important changes to share with you, including pre-screening requirements for building entry, new procedures for arrival and dismissal, new cafeteria procedures, wearing of masks and mask breaks, and expectations for remote and hybrid learning. Please note that since mid-March, our district has responded to multiple changes and updates as a result of guidance from state, local, and federal agencies. We have learned that any plans established today may be subject to change tomorrow. We appreciate your patience and understanding as we navigate this process, always with an eye on serving our most precious commodity, our children. We soon will be launching a new communications app called Parent Square. This app provides an option for screening all students, staff, and visitors with 4 simple questions relating to COVID-19 exposure and a body temperature check for anyone entering the building. Potential or known exposure to COVID-19, COVID-19 symptoms, or a body temperature at or above 100 degrees Fahrenheit will prevent building entry. Watertown City School District has decided to use this app because it simplifies the process, especially for families with multiple children. We get that mornings can be hectic. Through the use of this app, within a matter of seconds, all COVID-19 related building entry questions can be answered for multiple family members. Following pre-screening at home, the next step is transportation to school. Whether you walk, ride, or drive, students and staff are expected to maintain social distancing. Members of a family or household are not required to social distance from each other. They may stand together at bus stops, walk together into our buildings, and sit together on the buses. Students are asked to maintain at least 6 feet of distance from each other, unless they are in the same family or household, and to wear masks. This distance and mask requirement continues as students enter and exit. Watertown City School District is working with First Student to promote the health and safety of students and bus personnel. Masks and distancing are required on our buses. Stickers will be placed to indicate locations where students may sit in order to maintain appropriate social distancing. Disinfectants used on our buses have been evaluated for their efficacy in killing viruses and safety. Whether walking, riding in a car, or being dropped off by a bus, the same general procedures apply. Each school building in the district has slightly different procedures for student drop-off, which will be shared with parents and guardians. Please continue to maintain social distancing of at least 6 feet and wear a mask when entering our buildings. In addition to the COVID-19 pre-screening discussed previously, social distancing and masks are requirements for building entry.
Good morning. Oh, I really like your mask. That's perfect.
Please note that anyone with a body temperature at or above 100 degrees Fahrenheit will be denied entry. The pre-screening survey questions will alert anyone with symptoms of or recent potential exposure to COVID-19 that they are not to enter our buildings. We are sorry for the inconvenience these procedures cause, but we must all do our part to ensure the safety and well-being of the school community. Our expectations for hybrid and remote learning will be shared in more detail soon. In the meanwhile, please consult our reopening schools plan, family question form, and associated question and answer document for additional information. Students will be given mask breaks periodically throughout the day when they are at least 6 feet apart in their classrooms. Face masks are required whenever less than 6 feet apart and during times of transition, including transition between classes. Each building will be sharing cafeteria procedures for students. These will vary by grade level and/or building to best meet the needs of our students. Whether walking, riding in a car, or being picked up by a bus, the same general procedures apply. Each school building in the district has slightly different procedures for student pickup, which will be shared with parents and guardians. The well-being and success of our students are our top priorities. Our students are at the heart of all we do. We look forward to seeing you soon.
And just to follow up, after watching the video, the grade level bands that you can see now, K4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9, 12, we'll be following up with community meetings, giving you more specific information on every one of those topics that were just covered in the video that we just presented. So the only change from what we've been presenting in the past few presentations is that K4 made a little change. They were scheduled to do their community meeting on August 25th, and that has been changed to August 27th. Other than that, you can see 5th and 6th grade will be on August 26th. 7th and 8th grade will be coming up this week on August 20th, and grades 9 through 12 will be on August 24th. All meetings are at 7 p.m. All meetings are in virtual format, and like everything that we've done thus far, not only will you see it, live today, it's being recorded, and every meeting that we've had thus far is posted on the district's website. I always tell people that we have so much information, you really need to visit our website at www.watertowncsd.org, and you need to just start now taking a look at what's there, but also knowing that in the next few weeks, Parent Square will be that one-stop shop that will be giving you the information as you need it. So it does take a village. We're all in this together, and I look forward to the start of school. It's going to be here before you know it, and we've worked very hard to get to where we're at today. But as I say, every time we talk about a reopening plan, we need to remember to always be kind. We need to think about all students in the district and looking at the big picture for what works best for all, and know that things are always subject to change. They change not only from day to day, they can sometimes change from minute to minute. So we ask that you just work with us and continue with your patience. And again, lean in and we'll all work through this together. And that concludes our updates for today and our Parent Square demonstration.
Any questions?
Before you move on, I would just like to thank all of the students who took time out of their schedule and staff that came in and put this together, Mike Shanley and Lisa Blaine. The narrator was Sarah King. And I just appreciate really all of their hard efforts and work from the last couple of weeks of putting that all together, because it's easy for us to talk about what our plan is about and to put it out in writing and put it on the website. but to actually see some of the changes and things that are happening, it gives everyone a sense of this is what it is going to look like. I think people need to see that.
Thank you. Moving on to items on the consent agenda.
Resolved that the consent agenda items A and B are hereby approved.
Can I get a motion?
Michael.
And a second. Susie? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Board action?
Resolved that the Case Middle School's School Comprehensive Education Plan for the 2020-21 school year is hereby approved.
Can I get a motion, please?
Jason.
And a second?
Owen.
Any discussion? And that was emailed to us, so hopefully everyone had a chance to take a look at it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved that the Watertown City School District's Comprehensive Improvement Plan for the 2020-21 school year is hereby approved.
Can I get a motion?
Beth?
And a second? Susie? Any discussion? And thank you to the board members who had time and could sit on the committee. It was quite the document, so I think most of us have probably taken a look at that as well. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved that Adelaide Weir, Watertown City School District student, is hereby authorized to practice and travel with the Lowville Academy High School ski team for the 2020-21 season. Adelaide Weir will compete as an independent under Watertown's school colors is hereby approved.
Could I have a motion, please?
Michael.
And a second?
Owen.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved that a donation from Staples to Watertown location for approximately $1,000 worth of school supplies to be distributed throughout the district is gratefully accepted and approved and will be acknowledged in writing.
Could I have a motion, please? Susie? And a second?
Jason.
Jason? Any discussion? Are those all coming to the district office and then to be dispensed equally among the buildings?
Yes, I think so, Casey.
Yes, I believe they may be divvied up ahead of time for us. We did give them 6 K6 buildings, and if they can arrange to do that, they will.
Okay. All right. Anybody else, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved that the retention and disposition schedule for the New York local government records issued pursuant to the Article 57A of the Arts and Cultural Affairs Law and containing legal minimum retention periods for local government records is hereby adopted for use by all officers is legally disposing of valueless records listed therein. Further resolved that in accordance with Article 57A, only those records will be disposed of that are described in retention and disposition schedule for the New York local government records after they have met the minimum retention periods described therein, and only those records will be disposed of that do not have sufficient administrative, fiscal, legal, or historical value to merit retention beyond established legal minimum periods.
Can I get a motion?
Michael.
And a second?
Nancy.
Any discussion? Are these new regulations or is this something we approve every year?
They just updated, New York State did their stuff, so we had records retention stuff before, but this
Right.
they just updated their policy,
Okay.
so we have to re-adopt.
Answers my question, thank you.
Mhm.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved that Stacy J. Eater Converse is appointed at the pleasure of the board to the position of Chief Diversity Officer for the school year 2020-21, and thereafter until the next organizational meeting of the Board of Education, subject, however, to the early termination by the board is hereby approved.
Can I get a motion?
Jason.
And a second? Susie. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved that When Incorporated is appointed appointed to the position of diversity consultant for the school year 2020-21. Is hereby approved.
Can I get a motion, please?
Prorate.
In a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion carries. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, Patricia E. Labar, the Board of Education hereby approves the following: retirement, resignations, appointments, permanent, instructional substitutes, non-instructional substitutes, fall coaching girls.
Can I get a motion, please?
Michael.
In a second. Angie. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention?
I'll abstain.
Whereas on March 16, 2020, the New York State Governor declared under Executive Order 202.4, all schools within New York State to be closed to students no later than March 18, 2020, for a period of 2 weeks, ending on April 1, 2020, and whereas various subsequent executive orders were issued by the New York State Governor, resulting in the closure of schools to students for the remainder of the 2019-20 school year as a result of COVID-19 pandemic, and whereas on or about July 15, 2020, the New York State Department of Health issued interim guidance for in-person instruction at PreK to grade 12 schools during COVID-19 public health emergency for the 2020-21 school year, and whereas on or about July 16, 2020, the New York State Education Department released reopening guidance for the schools for the 2020-21 school year. Now therefore, the Board of Education resolves as follows: in an effort to comply with reopening requirements, the board hereby temporarily suspends any board policy or administrative regulation or procedure that conflicts with any current or future federal, state, or county law, regulation, executive order, or guidance released for the purpose of reopening of schools during the period of COVID-19 pandemic. Number two, the superintendent of schools is authorized to follow federal, state, or county laws, regulations, executive orders, or guidance, and to take such action as reasonably necessary and proper for the purpose of reopening the schools.
Can I get a motion?
Jason.
And a second.
Michael.
Any discussion? You want to give some background on this?
Yeah, I think that our legal team just recommended that we bring this forward and put it kind of through resolution, so that if we have any policies that conflict with our executive orders, or federal or state guidance, that gives us a little bit of leeway to make sure that we're honoring those requirements.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved that the Watertown City School District Board of Education amends the 2020-21 school calendar as follows: September 8, 2020 will now be Superintendent Conference Day in place of September 1. September 9 will be a remote-only day for students, making September 10 the first in-person day for students A through H.
Have a motion, please.
Prorate.
A second. Susie. Any discussion? Want to give some more background on this one, please?
Sure. So when we did the last calendar change and we added September 1st, we actually added an extra day to the school calendar. And so in order to make that whole, we worked with one of our biggest, actually, union group. And just, we tried to work out something that would make a little more sense. And we're talking about also equity for students. So having some of our students come in on a Tuesday and then jumping right into a remote day, we thought it might make more sense to take September 1st and move it to September 8th. And that makes us whole then, because that was a day that we were scheduled anyway to be in session. Use that for a staff development day. And really, when you think about the heavy lift of coming back to school for the staff and what they're going to have to, the training that they're going to have with the safety protocols, the hybrid learning, the remote learning, and what we've learned from March through this point, we wanted to make sure that we could provide the staff with what they needed on September 2nd and 3rd. And then almost like we do for our children, our kids, we give them a brain break, and then come back in on the 8th and really finish up whatever's needed to. Start our first day on the 9th, reaching out and connecting to students. That will still be a day of school, albeit remote only. And then bringing in that first group of hybrid students on Thursday. That would be the Monday-Thursday group, so they would start that Thursday, the 10th, and then the Tuesday-Friday kids would start Friday. And when you look at the schedule over the semester, it actually, puts the kids very close to each other as far as the number of times in session. In fact, when you look at some of the Fridays, there are a few early dismissals. So I guess I have to go back to saying, this is another calendar change, and we may have to make a few more as time goes on. We need to see where we're at and where, what things look like as we get into the school year. We still have to work out the parent-teacher conference that we took off in November time and see where we're at the end of September and start making some decisions on how to move forward with that as well. So that was our recommendation.
Thank you. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And that is the end of the resolutions.
Great, thank you. All right, items for discussion, information, Superintendents Report.
So I see Mr. Orvis sitting over in the corner, and I just would like to once again commend Mr. Orvis, Mary Hughes, and their entire food service staff. They just finished up the last summer feeding, and I'd like to share with you some of those numbers. Over the summer, they served 24,182 breakfasts and lunches for a total of 48,000 plus meals. And when you add that to the almost 129,000 meals they provided from March 16th through the end of the year, they have served a grand total of 177,359 breakfast and lunch meals. So I would say a huge shout out to our food service department. We can't thank them enough for all that they've done throughout this time. They're facing a lot of challenges as we move forward with reopening the schools. Mr. Orvis has, along with Mary Hughes, has created a really nice cafeteria plan for, and working with building administration and getting input from other stakeholders in the district. What will it look like? And the video kind of just very briefly said, it will look differently depending on the age level of the students and the buildings that they're in. But as you listen to the community meetings that will come out from the grade level bands or from the schools, we will be getting more information on specifically what that may look like in a K-4 setting versus 5-6, middle school, and then high school. So thank you to Craig and his staff. We continue to work on a daily basis on our reopening plan and monitoring and adjusting that plan as needed. One of the big focus of the past week has been on the remote learning only commitments. And we actually, earlier today, it was 999 students. So we're just shy of 1,000 students, which is a pretty big number for us. But we were anticipating that. We looked at the parent survey that we did early on, and when we had 60% of our parents respond to that, knowing that of that subset, that 42.7% of those people, which accounted for about 2,200 of our students, we knew that we would probably end up at about 25% or so on remote-only learning, and I think today we're very close to 30%. So as we move forward with that, we are now taking a look at what does that look like in a K-6 setting, and what does it look like in a 7-12 setting? So there's more information to follow, but just briefly, I can share with you, as of today, we actually reopened the remote learning commitment form several times. In fact, we reopened it 4 times, and today was the final close at noon. And so what does that mean if somebody is still interested in that? Well, as a district, we have to make a decision and start to form our class list based on the information and the data that we have. So when you take a look at Knickerbocker, for example, right now we have the potential to offer a remote-only teacher in every grade K through 4. But as we start to approach numbers, we're trying to keep our class sizes reasonable. And so we don't want to, if we have people now all of a sudden deciding that they want to jump on board, starting today at noon, we ask them to reach out to the building principal, because we can start a waiting list, but we have to start making our schedule so that parents that are anticipating them and getting those letters out on August 28th, we have to develop our class list based on the data that we have. And, you know, it's not a one-size-fits-all model. We're going to work with families the best we can, but we need to get the information out there. So that's where we're at right now with the remote learning. And again, I would encourage parents, if they missed the deadline, like I said, we had reopened it and we got another big influx. You know, this is a time where parents are having to make really tough decisions. And we would like to work with people the best that we can, but now it's time for us to start getting those class lists developed and getting the information refined. So more information to follow on that, but what we're looking at is remote-only teachers for grades kindergarten through 6th, and at every single one of our buildings. In fact, a few weeks ago, I was interviewed by one of the local medias, and I talked about, at that day and time, it looked like the data was suggesting that we could combine students from North and Starbuck for remote learning. But as time went on and numbers grew, we couldn't accommodate it in quite that manner. So some of our remote-only teachers at the primary level will be combined with, we combined Starbuck and Sherman. So they'll have a remote-only teacher from one of those two buildings, depending on the grade level. And there are some grade levels where we have more than one remote-only teacher. When you take a look at Wiley, for example, we have enough students that want the remote-only option in 5th grade to offer 4 sections of remote-only. And for 6th grade, it's 3, but it's very close to 4. So this is a big undertaking for our district to try to meet the needs of everyone. And again, I would say to you, you know, I've had some parent requests to switch the days of the week that their kids can come. And I understand that different families have different circumstances that warrant that. However, this model, if you will, was based on transportation and making sure that every student has to be equitable, right? So it's making sure that everybody has access to transportation. So the split of A through H and then I through Z was done so that we could accommodate the students that needed transportation. If you start to vary and start mixing and changing days of students, then not only does it have the ripple effect with transportation, it also has the ripple effect with sometimes students in the same family, because some of our students are blended families and they have different last names. And so we made the decision to go with the name of the eldest student in that family. Well, if you want to move, you know, some of your younger students, or we're trying to do what's best. We're trying to keep those families together as well. So it's not like it's kind of a big puzzle, and we're constantly working to refine it. But I think that's important for people to understand that what may work best for one individual family, and we get that, trust me, we get that. It doesn't work for 4,000 students. So we're asking our families to really, you know, work with us and take the philosophy that we're in this together, and what can we do as a family and a community to support the school, and in return, what can the school do to kind of work with everybody to make it the best situation possible. And that's what we've been doing a lot of working and a lot of going back. We constantly take a look at the information that we have, the data that we have, and we make our decisions based on that data. And then sometimes the data changes and we have to adjust our plan as well. A lot of work to be done in the next couple of weeks. We'll keep working at it, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you. Assistant Superintendent for Instruction.
Most of our work is revolved around the reopening plan, but there are some other things happening behind the scenes. Along with, you know, preparing for the reopening, we've tried to shift as many of our instructional materials to be digital as opposed to paper-based. So we feel that movement will be to the benefit of students, but also really to the benefit of our staff and having that accessibility regardless of our situation. So there's been a lot of movement with software purchases, working with Josh to make sure we have, adequate budgeting to sustain some of the needs that we have. We have a lot of new curriculum in the district this year. Our plan that's brand new as of really this week is to purchase Amplify Science for all of our teachers K-8. And that will be something that, we roll out slowly because it's one additional new thing this year, but I know that the teachers who've explored it are extremely excited about it. And so we made the decision to jump in because, as many of you may know and have heard from teachers, that we've been without a really up-to-date and relevant science curriculum for years. So that's something that, we feel is critical to the demands of our students. And that's really going to be helped through DODEA funding in order to secure that. In addition to that, obviously, a new staff orientation is coming up. We have 12 new staff members currently that we'll be welcoming to the district. Some came, actually one teacher came 4 days before we closed in last March. And so really has taught remotely ever since. So that was her indoctrination into her first year of teaching. So we're looking forward to welcoming some of them back. Just to give them a better acclimation to the district. And we look forward to seeing you on Monday morning as well for the meet and greet. The title budget application continues to be due on August 31st, so we're working through that, trying to build as much in as we can, both for staffing purposes, but also to continue professional development with our staff. And the last piece that I'm just going to put out, because I know there is sometimes community interest in it, is we have in the past had some Odyssey of the Mind teams participate in our district. Interest has dwindled in the last couple of years, but we would love to see that ramped up. It's certainly student-centered, but it does require, the dedication of a coach to support those team members as they prepare. This year, Odyssey of the Mind is offering 2 levels of competition. One is the in-person approach, but they are all, and they may end up having to do the competition virtually, but as of right now, they're planning on releasing those problems in the same capacity. But they're also offering a virtual realm of competition. So there is more information on their website, but if anybody is interested in learning more about that, just let me know. That's it.
Assistant Superintendent for Personnel.
Thank you. So we're, as Stacy said, Patty said, we're working diligently on reopening an area of health and safety. Again, I have to mention them again, the North Country Family Health Center. We have 2 dates tomorrow and Monday. We're going to fit all of our nurses with N95 masks, which is a mandate by the New York State Health Department. So we really appreciate their efforts to help us out. They're going to spend 4 hours with us over the next few days. We're also meeting with our medical directors on Thursday. We have a couple of nurses involved with that. Mrs. Navarre, myself, and we're going to continue to discuss plans moving forward. They've been a great resource to us, and we'll continue to meet with them and have open lines of communication. Also, in the realm of reopening, of course, we have our teaching staff coming back, and we're working with our legal team and employees on accommodations and talking through different issues with people and answering a lot of questions and having a lot of open communication and dialogue in that regard. So we look forward to those continued conversations so that we help to ensure the safety of our staff and students as we return in the fall. And as we look forward to the new normal, in October, we're going to start the job fair. SUNY Oswego is offering a job fair virtually. The job fairs will now take place online, which I think is pretty interesting and nice. So I will certainly participate in that to cast our net far and wide. And on that note, we are interviewing for positions and doing reference checks, and we'll be ready to go in the fall. So we're looking forward to that. As Stacy mentioned, the new teacher orientation will be taking place, and looking forward to meeting all our new staff once again later on.
School Business Manager.
Oh, we're wrapping up. The external audit's still standing out there. Internal auditor is here through Thursday of this week. Both seem to be going pretty well. And we were able to get transparency report in last week. So that was a big undertaking, but it's off our plate now, at least for a month until we hear back from them. Everything looked pretty good. I know we sought to get more equity throughout the district. And last year, I think it was around a $5,000 spread in per pupil spending. This year, it was $2,300 from the high to the low between schools throughout the district, so that was nice. And thanks to Stacy and Kara, we were able to get the CARES Act application in there that they took away from us for the pandemic adjustment, and then it came back through Fed. So, it's good.
All right, and last but not least, we've got upcoming dates. So our finance, audit, and facilities meetings and our policy meetings are going to be starting back up again. So FAF is on September 1st and policy is meeting on the 11th. Our next board meeting is also September 1st. Note that the time change is back to 6 o'clock for the school year. Couple other things. I'm sure you guys have seen your emails. NSBO's conference registration has opened up. So if that's something that you're interested in attending, it is all virtual. I suggest going to the NSBO website and just looking to see if it's something you're interested in. If you are, please contact Michelle to do a registration for you. And then the other concern was you were looking for a Board of Ed member for the safety meeting. Do we have a specific date and time? Because we've got some interest on the board. And I think it's contingent upon date and time.
Okay, I think we're going to attempt to do that after the first full week of school, which is actually that September 8th, so the following week. They're usually on Wednesdays at 4 o'clock. What was the date there?
So the
16th?
16th. So for those that were interested, is that a good date for anybody? You're good, Susie? All right, thank you. Anything else for good of the order?
One last thing that I forgot on the report, I just wanted to report out that Watertown High School had a graduation ceremony last week, and it was a small number of people, so we were actually allowed to do an in-person celebration. And, you know, I just wanted to acknowledge that it's so nice to have some sort of normalcy, even if it's a small snippet of the past. It was really a nice opportunity. You know, there weren't a lot of students. We were very easily able to do the social distancing and wear masks, and it was a good opportunity for some of our kids. And it meant a lot to be there and to have some sort of normalcy throughout this time. So we're getting there, and that's what I, say to people. It's a small step in the right direction, but if we can keep having those small wins, hopefully we'll get to where we need to be.
Anything else?
I just wanted to, I'm not sure if board members knew, but one of our district's art teachers, Fred Sobey, just published a book as the illustrator. It's called Masks and Smiles. It's an early childhood picture book about coping with wearing your mask, and it's really awesome, and I hope that our elementary libraries can carry that, and thank you, Fred, for putting out a work like that.
Yes, we've ordered one from Amazon. We'll be at our house on Friday. So thanks for breaking that up, Susie.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
All right, anything else? All right, thank you.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, thank you. Made a motion to adjourn. And could I have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks. All those in favor?
Aye.
Nobody's gonna oppose that one.